Welcome home, brave heroes and cowardly pilgrims alike. I'm Ash, and today I want to talk about a game rooted in narrative and immersion. Some time ago, I talked about a game called Doom Pilgrim from Waclaw Games. Specifically Doom Pilgrim Pocket. The larger version is the exact same, except the cards are bigger, easier to read, but I have an affinity for these little metal containers, and so I gave an overview of the Pocket Edition. This video isn't about the base game of Doom Pilgrim Pocket, a game for ages 18 and up that can take anywhere from 5 to 45 minutes and is meant for a solo player. I did want to talk about narrative and immersion, and Doom Pilgrim is one of the prime examples that I have of this topic, but I also wanted to present something else to you in the hopes that I can share the joy that I get from this specific, particular instance of immersion and narrative. I know that a lot of people watch the channel to see me perhaps roll a die, perhaps move a miniature, and perhaps make an attack. Oh, look at that, I got a skull with first strike and trample. That means I draw a card. But I also highly enjoy using this platform as a means to discuss game development, and I do subtly sneak in game development discussions into almost all of my videos. Every single unboxing has got commentary on the make, the presentation, the purpose, the impression that I get of any particular game. And when we dig into the mechanics, that's when my mind really starts turning, because there's nothing that I really love more than making stuff, especially when that stuff is stories. It's why I spent 5 years writing a story. But Doom Pilgrim is easy to talk about because you make a story as you play. It's not exactly a solo journaling RPG. You're not playing solo D&D here. You are working with an established rule set. There are some stats to manage, but there are no dice rolls unless you're using the optional dice rules available separately. And maybe while you love high fantasy, perhaps bleak and grim and dark isn't really your thing, and for that you can't be faulted. But Doom Pilgrim has you selecting one card out of 3 drawn from your future deck, based on nothing but the image alone. And if you happen to have drawn this picture before in a previous session, then so be it. Perhaps you remember the consequences of that card and can make a better decision this time, with one of the 3 cards going to the bottom of your future deck to be chosen from again if you make it that far. Another card to be completely discarded outright, useful for getting rid of those that you remember to be complete dead ends, or at least completely unhelpful to your specific build and situation now. And the 3rd card to be played immediately by simply reading the text. You have a variety of stats that you can track and manage, and you have some choices to make along your journey until you inevitably die, although it is very possible to win. And once you've memorized the images on the cards, win consistently. There are 90 cards in the base game, and I'm not quite there yet. I've won 1 game, and I only like playing the Son of Bane game mode using all 90 cards. This is supposed to be very hard, but I mean, I don't want to be a poor worm or a damned one. I want to play this game. There's a bit of expansion content for Doom Pilgrim, and I'm happy that it's finally made its way into the 10 realm. And so I'd like to introduce you to Doom Pilgrim expansion Doom Deeper Pocket. This smaller box includes 3 Doom Pilgrim Pocket expansions. Futile Havens, which makes the game easier by providing more relief, helping or healing, and more easily achievable loot. Fatal Ends, which makes the game harder. Events here are mostly fatal and can bring doom on their own. Of course, here and there, this extra risk comes with great rewards that bring balance to this mortal danger. And Pagan Echoes, which is a balanced thematic expansion that brings both deadly risks and pleasant benefits. It adds elements of heathenry and paganism to your journeys. Having the 10 version of the game, I was overjoyed when Doom Deeper finally got its 10 version. And now I can add up to 45 cards to my already long journeys in the realm of Doom Pilgrim. I'm talking about narration and immersion and all this, but I need to give examples, right? Well, when you select your image, the text on the back is going to have a little bit to do with the image. And it's not just going to be dry mechanics. In fact, 99% of the card is prose. Let's go ahead and choose this card just to give an example. Traveling through hostile moors, suddenly you feel someone is watching you. If your fear is 1 or more, fear being one of the psychic drop stats that you need to track. Only when you get them though. You don't have to fill out any sort of character sheet or anything that has this stuff on there already, although it can be handy to have a template of character sheets perhaps printed. You can make them yourself. You avoid the cave frightened and move on. Go now. Otherwise, you enter the cave as a brave adventurer. The cave leads much deeper into the dark than expected. Once the light from outside faints completely, you hear fast steps in the entrance and feet squashing in the water. There really was someone inside, hidden in some niche when you walked around, and now he fled. You might have been cut from the dark. Meanwhile, he managed to steal your horse or mule, and similar, if you had any waiting outside, only the presence of some companion, a man or dog, would prevent him from doing so. That's the card, and now it can go into your past deck, which is all the cards that you've already drawn and survived through. That's just one of 90 possibilities, and as you can see, there's not much game to be played, but there is a narration going on. The text is dripping with theme because it's part of this overall grim, dark, bleak universe in which you are simply trying to get to the end of your future deck to survive, to make the pilgrimage. You can get a horse in some of these texts, or a mule, and you can lose your horse or mule. The advantage of having such a horse is that sometime you will be able to escape certain dangers, but the main immediate advantage is you will draw 5 cards instead of 3 whenever you are choosing your card, and then when you put one card into the bottom of your future deck, and then choose another, instead of putting one card into the tin to discard it, you'll actually put 3. The horse represents your travel through these lands, going by much more briskly. There are other effects in the game that would cause you to draw 1 card extra during this phase of play, but the idea is just to run out of cards. You run out of cards, that means you win. There are a couple of events in the game that cause you to discard a portion of your future deck. And they're all written so that you don't have to encounter any of them before any of the other ones. They're all pretty much standalone. They're all set in the same universe, same world, same journey. And something that I failed to acknowledge during the first time I showed this deck and talked about it was how compatible all of the cards were with one another, making it a completely unique journey each time you play. This one's looking a lot more threatening. You have come to a village of giants. They are friendly, but want to make flutes from your bones. You're trying not to let them do it. Brings 4 wounds, from which every 2 pieces of non-magic battle equipment prevent 1, and any magic battle equipment prevents another 1. If you got no more than 2 wounds, you not only escaped, but killed them all, getting a monster trophy, giant teeth, and freeing a captive girl. But she has limbs no more, so her freeing is maybe more saddening than if she died here. Decide. End her suffering, getting a killer badge, and nihilism +1, another of the psychic drops that you have to track, if you get them. Or take her to a hospice, getting despair +1, for you find there is almost no hospice or charity anywhere in the world nowadays. That was a particularly depressing card to read from, and perhaps you would rather go the rest of your days playing high fantasy slaying orcs than reading from grim, bleak fantasies such as this one. The killer badge that you could get and the nihilism are both things that will affect you in the future, maybe. Some cards will outright deny you service in the form of merchants if you have a killer badge. There are other acts that you can't partake of if you have a killer badge. The nihilism is just one of several psychic drops, and you can get so many of these. There's like 10 in the game. Fear, despair, disgust, insanity, all of them. You can get up to 3 of any kind, but get 3 and it's game over. I guess you can get up to 2. Get 3 and the game is over. You've suffered too much of that particular psychic drop. You go nuts. There's too much despair. There's too much fear. There are a variety of curses and a variety of diseases that you can also get. And if you get any 3 of either of these things, the game is also over. 3 different diseases, game over. 3 different psychic drops, doesn't matter, it's fine. If I haven't made it abundantly clear here, Doom Pilgrim is one of my favorite tin games and quite possibly just one of my favorite games because of how easy it is to simply open up and start playing. So of course I was excited to get not 1, not 2, but 3 expansions in the form of 3 decks of 18 cards each. I do have some complaints, but they're going to be very minor. You see, the Game Crafter is the company that manufactures these, publishes them basically, or at least prints them. These 3 expansions have little symbols on the cards, and when I first was looking through, I didn't find them, I didn't notice them. And I thought, well, that really sucks because the Game Crafter does not do any sortation for you when they are printing your product. They just throw everything together and send it. So what's the order? How do you tell which cards are from which expansion? And then finally, I found it. There's an extremely faint symbol in the upper right corner of every card. They are hard to see, but they are discernible from one another. So you're not going to mistake any of these expansions for each other. I tested this by sorting them by symbol that I could see, and then when I counted each deck, I came up with 18 cards exactly in each one, so I know that I was right. So what's an example of a card from Pagan Echoes, which is supposed to be fairly balanced? Well, this is going to contain a spoiler for just one of the cards, so if you were to draw this card, you would know what lies behind it if you're playing this game with the Pagan Echoes expansion. So we'll turn it over, and you have spent some time in pagan lands. Read in full only the paragraphs that apply to you. If multiple applies, the effects cumulate. If you have a saint badge, you feel unpleasant here. Disgust +1, there's a psychic drop. If you don't have a complete set of pair organs, it is a mark of criminals here. Wounds +2, non-delegable as they lynch you. In some places in the text in the base game cards, you can actually lose an eye, or lose a leg, or lose a hand. You can also lose your tongue, but that's a different matter. If you lose any set of paired organs, you will lose the game. It's one of the many ways that you can get a doomed ending. You start with 5 wounds, or I guess if you want to reverse that, depending on whether or not you are used to playing Warhammer, you start with 0 runes and you can, I said runes, wounds, and you can get up to 5. At 5, you die. Why do I keep phrasing it that way? You can get up to 4. The 5th wound, you die. You can encounter ways of healing these throughout the game, but they're few and far between. The game is trying to actively kill you. The non-delegable refers to the fact that you can get companions in the game and you can actually cause them to take wounds for you, but your companions usually have a small amount of wounds, like between 1 and 3. So if you're lucky enough to get a companion, it's likely that they will perish as they attempt to help you traverse this journey. Your pagan companions meet with their kin and leave you. If you have a curse, an elder of one clan recognizes you as a threat and you hardly manage to escape the hunt that starts, +1 fear. If you have 4+ gold, you get robbed to have 0. You can sell monster trophies, 1 gold apiece, or battle equipment, 2 gold apiece. And if you have 3+ wounds, an old shaman pities you, and she heals 2 wounds to you for free. That's lovely. I'll show you some more of the card art for the Pagan Echoes expansion. I think the art on these is actually really cool. It's a lot more imagery that's more detailed than just vague shadows or shapes, as in a lot of the art from the base game. It's all lovely, consistent art, though. Like, Waclaw does all the art himself, and his record of doing art for various metal album covers is not only believable, it's something you'd suggest after seeing these. It's like, this guy should make art for metal albums. I'm going to read one more of the Pagan Echoes cards. I'm not going to show you what image it was. The text will be divorced from that. You meet a strong-looking savage. He is wearing his bear fur proudly, as if it were a royal gown. Soon you learn why. To hunt down a bear was the first task of his coming-of-age ritual. Now he only needs 2 more proofs to be allowed to return back to home as an adult member of his tribe. Yodulf, the teenage barbarian, as your companion, reduces damage taken in each fight by 1 wound. In return, he takes 1/2 of all gold looted together, rounded down. He doesn't take any items, as he needs only his huge axe and stinky fur, but most importantly, he takes all monster trophies you gain, until they are 2. Then he returns home in glory, for a woman and a hut. You can also never refuse a chance to fight for such a trophy. Futile Havens makes the game easier, for reasons that I've already mentioned earlier, and you have a variety of lovely images again here, which don't look particularly easy or peaceful. Which one of these cards would you pick to play on your turn? I would definitely pick one of the 2 cards on the right, but I would probably be worried that the rightmost card would be a dangerous fight. So I would save it for later, and I would probably read the text of the middle card. Let's do that together. So spoils for this card. A mill is a place where people gather, exchanging their news and trading goods while they wait for the flour to be ground. This mill is especially big, and you can trade here. Sell monster trophies, 3 gold apiece, or purchase a horse for 3 gold. You can also buy, at 3 gold, a tent, making traveling more pleasant and reasonable. Fatigue and nihilism toleration is +1. For 3 gold, an anti-melancholy drops, which heal 1 depression or despair on use. For 4 gold, treatment set, heals 1 wound. For 5 gold, the under armor leather suit, which counts as battle equipment. You can hire Servant Pepe for 5 gold. His admiration for the true hero raises your fear tolerance by 1, and he helps you escape half dead with 1 hit point from every danger that would leave you with 0. Not below. That is an extremely lucky find. Let's read another one and not show you the picture that was associated with it. A leprous woman warns you with a rattle. Nevertheless, you talk to her, and soon you know how her cruel husband repudiated her from their farm as soon as he found out she was sick. No words can express how much I hate him now. Then she reveals a plan to you. how you could punish him. If you have leprosy disease, you can listen closely to the whole plan. That is one of the diseases that you can get in this game, to carry out the punishment elegantly without harm and without the need to kill the farmer. Otherwise, you would carry it out in a rather harsh fashion, getting 1 wound plus a killer badge. The reward she would give you is a fragment of the vertebra of St. Cosmas, a relic in a pendant making its wearer immune to smallpox, typhus, and pestilence. Not leprosy, ironically. So you would not be able to get those 3 diseases. This would be a great card to get at the beginning of the game, as would Pepe the Servant. 2 very good cards to get, but now, my favorite part, Fatal Ends, which makes the game harder. We're going to go through here and pick out a few cards to read, one of which I'll show you the associated image, and I really think this one's going to be the one that looks really fun. Oh, there's so many good cards, so many good pictures on here. Oh, I have to read that one. That's what we're going to do. We're going to pick this one and read it. The famous magic crown attracts you in the way a flame attracts a mosquito. Once you are standing in front of the gloomy castle, you must try to gain it. Floor 1 is full of slimes. If you don't have leg protection, 1 wound. The second floor belongs to madmen that resemble undead without a shield and 1 other battle equipment. You too get the zombie disease. The third floor is a chamber of a zombified elite knight. 2 wounds if you don't have a magic weapon or 3 battle equipment. The king's chamber is accessible only with an ally to pull 2 levers at the same time. There, you find the king's long-dead mummy sitting on a throne, and you can take his granite crown. 3 different types of psychic drops need to reach their limit to stop you now. 1 is not enough. An amazing effect if you can weather all of the trials to get to it. For this one, spoilers for the Group of Gestures card, you've paired with an adventurer who told you she was going to loot the infamous Gesture Palace. As you enter the ruins full of all the disfigured creatures with crazy but deadly weapons, you soon regret, but your pride doesn't allow you to betray your new ally and escape. Do it if you insist, but +1 degradation, +1 dismay. 3 wounds are the portion served to you in this banquet with evil. Prevent 1 for every 3 battle equipment or 1 magic weapon, but you always get at least 1 wound, as they are very cunning. The Gesture King then begs you for mercy. If you give it to him, you get 1 degradation, but he tells you his secret that brings you a small fortune, 7 gold. Claire stays with you, and you can delegate up to 3 wounds to her. There are symbols on the cards also that sometimes get referenced in other texts. Sometimes they'll have you looking back through your past deck. And for every, say, knight symbol, you will get a specific advantage, a little bit more gold, depending on what it is you're doing. The last card that I'll read, and I'm not going to show you the image for, you've met the warlock who tortures people through their psyche. Each ally prevents 1 of the losses of your choice. Even a small animal can disturb his concentration. With fatigue 2+, your leg rots off. With disgust 2+, your tongue breaks into hundreds of spiders. +1 dismay now, and negotiations are now impossible. For every point of fear, you gouge out 1 eye from its socket. For every point of mind disruption and confusion, you get +1 insanity. For every point of psychic drops not listed above, you get 1 wound. If you've endured, you behead him, get a monster trophy, the Psychomancer's skull, and his magic rune robe that makes you immune to the effects of curses. Their number still counts for doom, though. So, sort your doom deeper pocket cards into their 3 decks, choose which one you want, and add it to your game. If you wanted to homebrew your own rule set, you could definitely do so to make the journey more palatable, or perhaps go through and take out the cards that would be instant death. That would kind of defeat the purpose of the game. It's meant to kind of be like Dark Souls in card form. This is just my take. It's not anything that the creator actually said. But I will tell you that if you listen to the Shadow of the Erdtree soundtrack while playing Doom Pilgrim, even though it does have its own official soundtrack at Waclaw Games, the overall feeling is enhanced greatly. There are a couple of game mats that you can purchase at the Game Crafter for this. The art is just consistent with the card art, and it's great, but they don't really offer any mechanical advantage. I mean, as far as tracking things, they're not like your typical game mats. They're basically just set decoration, and that's it. As for me, I like to try to keep track of stats on these index cards that I cut to use for a completely different purpose and ended up grabbing them. The last game that I played, I actually gained a number of psychic drops. I had 2 insanity, 1 degradation, 1 regret, 1 dismay, 1 fear, 1 disgust, a confusion, and a mind disruption. I got monster skin as a trophy, a battle equipment of 1 in the form of my ally Rupert, who took 2 wounds out of 3. I got the Dead King's Curse, as well as the cholera disease. I had 5 gold, and the spots here that I put in for wounds, I just drew extra spots to indicate that I'd healed, so I had 2 wounds left I could get. I also had a two-handed sword, and a bag of pepper. It looks like I didn't die, and now I'm remembering that I did have all this information to continue my game, but in my excitement to show you the expansion, I've already shuffled the cards, so I'll have to start over. If you want to play this and not die all the time, I can suggest that you go ahead and increase your maximum wounds to maybe 7, maybe a little more, and then shorten them as you continue playing to get the true feel and the true challenge, but you don't want to ruin it. However, it is a lot of fun to read through the descriptions in the text and the narrative overall, so I could absolutely imagine a scenario where a player didn't care much about the feeling that was intended, but rather getting their own version of fulfillment. And I think if you are a home brewer, getting this sort of thing, or at least seeing how this is presented in a video like this one, could put some tools in your toolbox so that you can create your own narrative tools for your own games. But you can see that this is a prime example of what I consider to be a perfect weaving of theme and mechanics. They go together like bread and butter. You can't really distinguish one from the other. Everything is happening mechanically for a lore reason, and the lore consequences to your mechanical choices are evident with every turn of a card, with every paragraph read. In board game form, to me, this is Dungeon Quest, with a lot of close seconds, but no true equals. I didn't expect to make such a long video about what is pretty much a small expansion for a game that really didn't do any numbers on the video I made it for. That sentence was all kinds of grammar. But this particular product does inspire me to talk a lot about these topics. So hopefully I didn't make the title or the thumbnail too clickbaity. Be safe out there, pilgrims. You never know when the next turn that you corner is going, wow. I'm just going to leave that in. This video is already going to take forever to edit. I'm suffering psychic drops in real life. I'm going to blame it on the heat. Please become a patron or a YouTube member. If you've made it this far, you've earned it. Have a fantastic rest of your journey for now, brave heroes, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, onward.